Hello, everyone. Welcome to the fourth session for the Ask Me Anything on Marketing Cloud, the Next Generation. As always, I do want to start saying thank you to everyone that's been attending each of these, everyone that's helped with the presentation, all the people on this panel, and all the people behind the scenes that have helped got this moving forward and moving out there. As with all the other sessions, this will be recorded. They will be uploaded. I always try my best, but hopefully by the next day, 24 to 48 hours, they should be up on the YouTube channel. It's the one for How to SFMC. If there's any questions, you can feel free to post it in the chat window. Honestly, we had a wonderful number of questions provided through the form, so we might not be able to get to any of them, but hopefully if you push it in there, we can try to see if there's some time available. And then for those questions that maybe don't get answered in this, we do have a Slack channel at How to SFMC that you can join through the howtosfmc.com, where you'll have access to a ton of people that can help you get those questions answered. All right, so as you can see, this is our last session. This is the AMA panel and tips and tricks. There won't be any more sessions after this for this specific one, but as always, there's millions of community events and goings on that you can join. So for today, we have our panel of all of our speakers. We have Jacob, Ali, Banu, and Aishwara. I want to thank each of them for coming on. And with that, I'm actually going to jump into the submitted questions. And I do want to say, I'm sorry I rushed through that beginning, but there's so many great questions and I want to give everyone as much opportunity as possible to get them. So I just wanted to get to the questions as quickly as possible. So this is our first question that came through. As Salesforce Marketing Cloud evolves, which capabilities should customers prioritize over the next 12 to 18 months to stay future ready, especially with the shift toward AI, data cloud, and personalization? All right, I think, Jacob, do you want to take the lead on this?
Yeah, and we'll see how good, because Disney Plus is running in the other room. We'll see how good my 5-year-old is stressing my bandwidth on my internet. But I mean, so I think conversationally, this is how I was going to approach it. I think everyone's going to do the same. I look at this in kind of like three main ways. The first is, and I'm not going to go really heavy specific in just the technologies for a second. I think we need to go back up a level into three things, which is, I think the first most important thing is we have to start getting to a point where we understand what a true customer profile is that a marketing team or marketing adjacent teams can trust. And so typically in my world, and probably everybody else's on this call, it means tightening up not only your identity, but getting clearer data pipelines into whether you're going to be using Data 360 or any of the technology sources in the Salesforce ecosystem, then getting very intentional about which systems are the source of truth for which data. And why do I say that? Because it leads itself to a second, basically, thing of my three, which is a lot of people need to start understanding we need to move from batch segmentation to behavioral-based engagement or behavioral-driven engagement. And what that means is, based off the first bullet, we got to focus on what data to collect at the right moment and how quickly we want to use it for use cases or potentially not use it. And so I think that's a big mindset change between these first two bullets into thinking more or less about who's in my marketing audience list to what just happened to Ali or Banu and what should I be talking to them about, or when should I shut up and just listen to what they actually need in the customer journey. And then before taking all the air away from the room for the first question, I think the third thing for my world is then where are you going to actually invest in orchestration? And remember, what I mean by orchestration is not just channels. Sometimes people think orchestration is email, web, branch, etc. If you're looking at financial services. In our world, we think of that more as, well, what are the journeys and decisioning that we need to do to achieve an actual customer experience that we would want? And I think a lot of us, like I said before, we hate to admit it, but sometimes that means shutting up and not sending another email. And it's saying, how else could we listen and collect information that gets us to better understand the customer, so the next time they're about to come to us, we say the right thing. So I always do a TLDR, which is where Banu usually laughs at me, but I think it's, if you summarize all three of those into one area, it's think let's not think in terms of journeys or segments. Let's start to think of, does this brand remember me? Does this brand understand what I'm trying to do right now? And that is a real shift from less campaign driven to more moment driven. Hopefully that helps whoever asked that question.
Awesome. Did you have anything to add, Ellie?
I was going to chime in, but that was such a beautiful answer. I'm not going to ruin it. So I'm just going to wait for the next one.
All right, awesome. So I did want to add, I actually forgot inside the intro, so I'm going to say this real quick before I jump to the next question. We do have 3 certification vouchers that we're going to be able to give away. One will be given out through a random selection of those that submitted questions, and then 2 will be given out to random attendees. In order for the attendees to get them, though, they will need to actually send me a DM or connect with me in some way with email address or other way to contact them so that I can work to send the voucher then. But on that note, I'm going to move forward.
Greg just changed it from like a journey to an actual event-driven message. Is that what you're saying? Sorry, bad joke. Keep going.
There are no bad jokes. All right. Awesome. On to the next. With multiple tools like Marketing Cloud Engagement, Personalization, Intelligence, and Data Cloud, what's the recommended approach for organizations to decide what to adopt first without increasing complexity? All right, I'm going to pass this to you, Ellie.
Thanks, Greg. So from my perspective, to be honest, before you even look at any sort of Salesforce solutions, you need to look at your foundation in terms of what are your source systems and what is the data that you're trying to bring into these capabilities and tools. So first of all, look at your data, because data is king and if your data is not in the right state it should be, that's where the complexity will essentially start. So look at whether you're using Snowflake or Databricks, or even if you're using Salesforce as your CRM, just ensure that the data quality and ensure that the setup of your data model is in the right state for us to start ingesting that data into the relevant capabilities. But if you look at the list of products that was mentioned on the screen, if I was going to develop this in the right sequence, Data Cloud is the foundation to everything now. So any capability, whether it's Marketing Cloud, whether it's Agentforce, you're always going to start with Data Cloud. So start up with Data Cloud and essentially build the data model and transform the data and apply your necessary identity resolution in the correct manner to ensure that your data set up properly. And then we'll follow on with Marketing Cloud Engagement, because that's going to be, again, your first sort of point of starting to execute your the multi-channel to your customers, whether it's on email, SMS, push, and so on. Then I will follow on with personalization, because that's going to be the next piece before you're going to start looking at any sort of analytics and how well your campaigns are performing. So I would end with intelligence. That's normally the last piece of capability when we look at the entire Marketing Cloud suite of products, and end with intelligence when you start visualizing how well your campaigns are performing.
Ali, can I add one more thing to it, if you're okay with it?
Of course, man, shoot.
Ali and I always talk, so this is where it comes to like a fun fireside chat, which is everything Ali I 100% agree with. And then I would position everybody as they think through that, not as a big bang, but parallel path implementations, is make sure that you're not just looking at which tool do I pick first, because Ali's point is 100% valid. But you should be trying to pick problems, because right now we're in a mixture of legacy tools to next generation tools. But if you don't lead with what are the problems, or the question I usually ask in a room is, what's the one experience you want to improve in the next 90 days? And if you can get to that answer, I think it leads perfectly into Ali's statements, which is now that starts to tell you, well, what data do I have to bring into Data Cloud, et cetera, et cetera. So that was just my one thought there, Ali, as you were opining and talking.
Awesome. Thank you for the wonderful answers and the wonderful addition there. To move to the next question, which is looking purely from a business ROI perspective. How do you see execs feel comparing their current marketing tools, for example, Marketing Cloud Engagement, to Marketing Cloud Next? And how do they view the shift in terms of value creation and outcomes? For this one, I think Aishwarya, if you want to jump in and take that one, that would be great.
Yeah, sure. So based on my experience, when we can say like from a ROI perspective and from a business perspective, most businesses today see tools like Marketing Cloud, engagement, just for like an execution platform where we can work on campaign, missions, and automations. But ROI often, what to say, it's a plateaus because manual segmentation. Like in Marketing Cloud, account engagement, the segmentation and the transformation, what we do is mostly the manual process. But in the mature in an enterprise-wide organization, the limitation isn't sending messages or maybe the automation side of it. Mainly on deciding who should receive what and when. And maybe earlier in the past, when we were using Marketing Cloud engagement, we did have this approach like when and what to use or when and what to send. But based on unified customer context, which is Marketing Cloud Next. Like let me take an example. Maybe in many implementation which I have seen, marketing teams run separate cross sell and retention journeys, right? And maybe there are chances that they are not connected or they are not interconnected, and they might not speak with the sales type of situation. A customer who has already purchased some product might receive a discount code which is related to it, which is not related to that product at all, or they might have just tempted the customer to purchase a product with a coupon code before. So this time, when we have all the unified experience in one place, so Marketing Cloud Next shift this, or maybe Agentforce Marketing, I would use name here. So this shifts the conversation from the campaign ROI to decisioning ROI. So when I need to bring up a communication, and when I need to reduce wasting a communication on unnecessary things, or a repeated communication can be reduced here. And but your view this shift like a this is not like a replacing a platform, replacing Marketing Cloud engagement with Marketing Cloud Next is not the approach. Advancement in the technology, and this is also like automation led marketing to outcome led marketing, moving towards, right? And ROI is measured less in cents and more in the revenue. Like you can think of customer lifetime value is in Data Cloud as a data layer, and with the help of marketing intelligence as well, which will add a value add to whatever you're currently doing in marketing, say here.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Any thoughts from anyone else?
Yeah, I'll quickly jump in. So businesses typically look at ROI when they're choosing a platform. One part which Aishwarya mentioned is revenue, but also efficiencies in-house when it comes to campaign creation. And when execs are looking into, why should they move from MCE into Agentforce Marketing, is the efficiencies that they're gonna essentially have when it comes to campaign creation. So you're gonna see reduction in cost when you're building your campaigns, dealing with translation agencies, because Agentforce will help you to translate some of those campaigns, the creation of copies and so on. So you're definitely going to have a benefit on the ROI when you look at also just from efficiencies internally when you're building your campaigns as well. And also Salesforce AEs, are currently working with a lot of our clients right now to make that transition much, way more smoother with moving into Marketing Cloud Next. So if you're not working with your Salesforce AEs, do so now, because it's way more simpler than it used to be.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I'm going to jump to the next question. Keep us moving along. With so many channels and touch points, what are the most meaningful KPIs Marketing Cloud users should focus on to prove real business impact? And which metrics are often overvalued? Ali, do you want to jump in on that one too? I know we've been hitting you pretty heavy, but
No, all good. So I'm going to be selfish and answer this from a marketing intelligence perspective. So, typically, by standard, you would look at click rates, you would look at open rates, and those are the sort of common sort of metrics that you would look for when whether your KPIs are being met or not. But with the beauty with marketing intelligence, the capability of having an attribution model to understand, whether it's your first touch or your last touch, is essentially driving the revenue. How much you're spending on your social campaigns, how much you're spending on your email marketing campaigns, and it's a great identifier to see whether the amount of money that you're spending on your social campaigns is actually driving the credits and the conversions to your campaigns, or driving traffic to your e-commerce sites, as an example. So for me, I'm answering from an MI percent. I know Jacob will probably want to jump in here and share his thoughts, but having an attribution model is key to understand, where your conversions are happening, and that is across all the different touches. So now, as of the next release, multi-touch attribution will be available, will be GA, and then understanding at any point of a journey, right from start to finish, is what's driving those return on your spend or on your campaigns.
I think I can't answer better than that at this moment, Ali. I think I'd bring it back up to two main things, because I always do like a TLDR, which is, I think a lot of teams, and keep me honest, Ali, if you see this as well, like I see a lot of organizations still doing how many emails did we send by line of business, by product. And instead, like, people need to start thinking less on number of emails equals better return to, did we choose the right message for the person in the funnel at the moment that they were working with us? Because hopefully everybody on this call understands, like, none of us go in a linear path in purchasing products and working with financial institutions and going to healthcare firms. Like, we are like this, and then go backwards and come back. So the attribution piece to what Ali is saying is critical. And then I think I'll just double down on what Ali was saying for one piece more, is move away from volume-based ROI metrics to outcome-based ROIs. And that's a huge change. And believe me, I usually get yelled at a lot in meetings when I say that, but that's where you're going to get more effectiveness in your return on investment spend from a marketing perspective.
Yep, absolutely. Awesome. Thank you so much. So yeah, I'm going to jump to the next question real quick. From a day-to-day marketer's perspective, where does AI add the most real value today in Marketing Cloud beyond subject lines and content? And where should teams avoid over-engineering? Actually, I think on this one, I'm going to pass it back to you, Jacob.
Yeah, this is another one where I see people trying to take very large bite-sized chunks into scenarios that, if you just think about it for your day-to-day operations, and if you guys are using AI for your personal assistants, etc., what would you want it to help you with? For me, it's, you probably have small repetitive things that you work on a day-to-day. A lot of that's like, who should get this message? When should it go out? What offer should it see? Etc. So, like, I think from my perspective, and Shwar, keep me honest, because I think you're going to add some pieces here as well, is these AI components embedded into any technology, it's not just Salesforce, it's less valuable when you're trying to make it replace your strategy or your creativity. And that usually leads to disappointment with a lot of POCs that we see. And so, I don't know, my rule of thumb here is use it to help you with your decisions and not replace your ownership. So, like, you set your goals as humans, AI scales. And so that's great. That was a lot of buzzwords, Jacob. Like, give me a tangible example. So if I'm creating lots of different automations in Marketing Cloud engagement, let's look at the current state right now. How can I have an AI agent to work with me, either embedded via MCP processes, or if you have a fun little agent to agent, example that you can run on your own servers, like, how can it help me create the baseline 6 or 7 steps of my automation, and then allow me to go the next layer deeper to build out more embedded personalization moments to say, what data should I be choosing from where? Or a second example, which is more fun for me, is in the data side of the house, how can I have it help me with data observability, or looking at what is happening in my different EDW tables, or in my Databricks instance, or my Snowflake instance, to tell me, do I even have the right data to attempt this potential use case? That's where I see AI really helping. But that's Jacob's opinion. So, Ashwar, did you want to add anything on this one?
You covered it all. Which I like to add here is on maybe over-engineering, when they're saying, again, don't rely on AI for everything. and everywhere. Maybe AI capabilities, even when we have Marketing Cloud, even when we use Marketing Cloud engagement or whatever we are having, everywhere we are having all the new AI capabilities. But when we are relying on it, only when we have the right set of data, and again, there is a period of data that we need to have. And again, don't rely on everything for AI, as I mentioned earlier. So maybe for scoring, for complex scoring, or maybe send, not only for maybe content generation, you can also use AI for whatever possible situations. But again, relying on AI for just a small question, maybe I don't know, in future it might become like, instead of using our own brain, we will rely more. So just to avoid that, maybe don't use it everywhere, only for marketing purpose. Yeah, not take over the marketer job, but it will be an aid. It will be just an aid to move your task easy, or maybe make your work easier. So
Awesome. Thank you so much. It's funny. I know this is about a question ago, or two questions ago, with Jacob mentioning TLDR. It's amazing to me how that's gone through probably three different phases, where it started out and it was like, only the cool young hip kids knew what TLDR was because it was too long to read. And then it changed to where everyone knew it, and then it became where there was now a generation that just had no idea what that meant, and now they can't come back. So it's just funny to see that kind of stuff as as you age, you see the different.
So Greg, am I the cool generation or the generation that has no idea what's going on? That's what I need to know now, because I feel like I might be the generation that has no idea what's going on.
Pick the answer you want, and that's the right one.
Perfect.
All right, I'm going to move to the next question now. If my client only uses imported CSV files as an audience, does it make sense to use Marketing Cloud Next? This would require major architectural and operational changes, or is there a simpler option? Banu, do you want to actually jump on this one and get that going?
Sure. I think my answer will be two-part. From technical perspective, yes, you have functionalities available in Data Cloud to upload files and then model it, leverage it for your communication. So if the question is just for using CSV files, yes, you can do that. But at the same time, coming back and looking at like Marketing Cloud Next, what is it bringing to the table, right? So we have so with the power of Marketing Cloud Next is now you have a Data Cloud as foundational layer. You are leveraging your behavioral events and all the other events data that comes to the platform, or you could get it come to the platform. You have Sales Service Cloud, everything in the same org. So now you have like a lot more that you could play with, you could work with. So so would you want to just use only the CSV files? Also, you could think of it as like an evolution, right? So it's not just a transition from your existing process to like a new process into a different platform, but rather think of it as like an evolution of, okay, you have your CSV, then maybe I will ingest like a couple more data streams, like a couple more behavioral or whatever else that could enrich the customer's profile, and then I can start to leverage that more. Because the moment you are getting onto the next platform with like Data Cloud, everything around it, there will be some cost considerations also you need to look at. So I would say that, yeah, think of it as an evolution. Slowly start from like CSV, but also like go further than that with like additional data streams, because CSV is always a static profile, like it's just like one set of data. But the moment you start to enrich it with like other events, it will start to be like a living, breathing profile that you could start to leverage for your one-to-one related marketing operations.
Awesome. Thank you. I'm going to jump through the next. I think that was a pretty solid, complete answer. So let me get to the next question. So what key skills and hands-on experience should Marketing Cloud professionals learn to stay relevant and succeed in the next-gen platforms? And with what you were just talking about, I think I'm going to actually jump right back to you, Banu, to answer this one.
Now that Marketing Cloud Next is living on the Salesforce core, right? You have Data Cloud, you have Sales and Service, like I was mentioning before. So Marketing Cloud professionals, this is time for everyone to start understanding like the fundamentals of CRM core, like whatever Salesforce offers. Specifically because our journey builder version of it, let's say in our Marketing Cloud Next, is going to be Flows. Flows has been existing for a long time before even Marketing Cloud Next, right? So these are all like the foundational things that are available on CRM. So we have to start going into understanding what flows are, and then we have to start understanding also the data modeling concepts, because your personalization will be driven by things like data graphs, which are basically like linked tables, right? So you need to understand how your data flows through all of these tables, and how these tables are linked to each other, the cardinalities and things like that. Just the foundational elements will do a big leap in your learning curve in terms of how much you could do with like a bit more knowledge on this. And then also I would say that now that you are playing with not just one area, but like a larger platform with a lot more information in it, and as your more and more line of businesses start to onboard into this and things like that, you'll also start to separate your data, right? Just to ensure you're not doing anything that basically like not sending like the wrong message to the wrong person. So for those kind of things, you will also start to or need to understand like the basics of how the sharing rules and things like that work, like how the permission sets work in the platform, so that you will start to understand how the data can be separated, how some attributes can be separated, and how you can like still delineate your process from like another line of business's process, even though all of you coexist in the same platform. I think that's what I wanted to mention here.
I think if you don't mind me, Greg, I'll quickly jump in. Banu answered absolutely beautifully in terms of all the differences between the different platforms and what you should really be looking at. I'm going to answer something outside of the Salesforce world is, with the AI capabilities that we are seeing at the agentic marketing, specifically on Agentforce marketing, with as I mentioned, with the campaign execution and with simple prompts, you're able to create a campaign from start to finish. I think as marketeers, you should also brush up our skills on the strategy part as well. So look into how to define campaign strategies, marketing strategies. I think it's going to be crucial with having the right framework and the right strategy in place, and then you can use that and when you're prompting your AI capabilities within Salesforce to create your campaigns as well.
I mean, just because Elise said it, he triggered something in my brain. I think we're all going to start becoming the bridge between technology and actual business teams, which in the past for marketing, Elise nodding his head, intelligence, engagement, we were. But now you're going to be the linchpin even more, because to Banu's point, it's now in core. So double down on some of the soft skills. So take yourself away from the tech at the moment and say, how can you help lead a room to understand what is the actual goal? Hint on why a lot of my answers are that way. And where do you want to go with it versus pick feature A or B and go implement.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think one thing I wanted to just quick add to with that is that I 100% agree. I know I'm a moderator. I shouldn't be answering. I just wanted to make sure to give some clarity on like the soft skills are definitely a priority, but don't sleep on the hard skills too. Like AI is going to be taking a lot of the more day-to-day stuff, like a lot of like the syntax stuff, but like knowing how to read it and how to review it and measure those outcomes and think around, because AI doesn't have the same level of comprehension and like outside the box thinking as humans do. So the more knowledge we have around that, the better we'll be able to use it. So that's just something I think needs to be spoken about as well. It's not just the soft skills, although they are the huge push we need. Keeping those hard skills is still important. Sorry. I will go back to my place as moderator and move forward to the next question now. So what are the top 3 guardrails on admin that should be implemented today to ensure that automated triggers and real-time data flows don't result in runaway journeys or mismatched customer messaging? So for this one, I think we're actually going to look at getting Banu and Ayashwara to answer, but I'm going to start first with Banu.
Yeah, sounds good. So, yeah, this is a very valid question, because the more as you start to get more and more data, you'll have like millions of rows of items, and then you have your data cloud data modeling done. You have your ID resolutions run, and then like how would you validate and ensure that like the wrong message is not going to the wrong person? So I would just backtrack my answer, because I think the answer is in whatever I just stated before. So basically, as and when you start to receive more and more data, you need to look at like some key elements, which is you need to look at how your the foundation, right? So what I mentioned before, how your foundation is set, like how your data modeling is correctly done, because ultimately it comes down to that. Like data cloud is your foundational layer. So irrespective of wherever you have your data in different places, sales cloud, service cloud, wherever you're getting the data, it's going to come into the data cloud layer to be modeled, and then will be used across, right? Especially with like your flows and your journeys. So it comes down to how you would like to model your data to ensure you have your right cardinalities, you have your right connections between the tables. And then the most important thing is also your ID resolution rules. Think of ID resolution rules not as like a static, I set up this rule, like this match rule, this reconciliation, I'm done with it. It is an evolving, it's like a continuous process. ID resolution is not like a static process. You go in, you periodically check to see the profiles that are unified, are they making sense or not? Like and do you need to tweak anything in the rules? You do have like two row sets you can create in the platform, so you could play around with one while you have one live, right? So there are things like that. Again, cost considerations, please, that's a separate thing. And then the other thing that I would state is, are you getting the right data? So like, do you really need this data in the platform? Because you don't want to get in a noise in the platform, because that will just make it even more complicated for you to model everything around. So ensure that you are thinking from from attributes perspective. Like, are you getting the right attributes? Are you getting the right data points? Are you getting the right data streams in, like so that you can actually make sense out of the data, and the data is actually usable for you. So I guess I think I covered like the top 3, or maybe I mentioned 4. I don't know, but that would be my answer.
Okay.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, whatever
Okay,
Banu
perfect.
mentioned, that is aligned with the admin needs to consider. And I would also like to add some perspective, maybe a different perspective here from the admin role. On setting up a user and giving them right permission sets, all these things, and maybe from the marketing world, have something like business units and the integration around it. So when we say business unit here, when we transition or when we move into the new world, we might like a business unit, what we used to have earlier, maybe based on what to say, regions, based on brand. No, we are not going to have a business unit in such a manner, right? As we'll be working together with sales data, service data, everything together in one particular, like it, there will be a different view to business unit as well. Um, Again, you can do it with the brand naming. I'm not saying it's not at all possible, but again, we are going to add more flavor to it from the sales perspective, from service perspective as well. And as cloud environment, again, the governance plays a major role, and we do have data cloud governance in picture, and then the new marketing cloud next, again, permission sets and security layers, and the data ownership, and we can set the boundary between the sales team, service team, and marketing team, and who will, those type of things can also be done from the admin perspective. So this is what I would like to add on top of what Banu mentioned.
Awesome. Thank you so much. That's great. Awesome. All right. Next question we're going to jump to is how is the consent architecture best set up when leveraging Marketing Cloud Engagement and Marketing Cloud Next? So I think this is mostly about like the Engagement Plus type SKU. Should MCE also write directly to Data Cloud consent objects? And how is all subscribers kept in sync with this model? Jacob, do you want to jump in and take lead on this one?
Yes, and I also am looking at the time, Greg, so I want to make sure because I think we have a few more questions. So I will try not to take up too much oxygen. First. I think this is a heady concept in general, and one that shouldn't just be focused just to Marketing Cloud Engagement versus Marketing Cloud Next, but it also relies on what is your single system of record for consent. A lot of the times, at least in the enterprise space for myself and for Banu and Accenture, is that lives not always in the Salesforce ecosystem. That could be another platform or another couple of platforms that are gathering true UUIDs across the bank, across a healthcare firm, etc. And so you have to bucket it. And I'm going to try to do this real quick. When I look at this, is you can typically have that in an upstream system and start to have Data Cloud be a system of ingestion of it, but not a source of truth. So you can think of it as, yeah, you have to map to your consent objects in the Data 360 space. That makes a lot of this, it's going to hum. Marketing Cloud Engagement then consumes that consent. And then in some cases, it writes it back. But you don't want to have multiple masters of these. And we have a one-to-one relationship between a subkey and MCE. So start to think less about MCE versus MC Next and more, how do I leverage the CIM model in the consent L1 through 4 in Data 360 to handle the right contact points, consent, etc. Because we don't want all subscribers to be the actual source of truth. We want it to be a downstream reflection of that consent captured in Data 360, which then allows you to scale into Marketing Cloud Growth, Advance, and the other pieces. So I think if I could wrap it around in one thing, because now Greg won't let me say TLDR anymore, is I think of it as a hub and spoke model with one consent brain, either in Data 360 or next and adjacent to it, and then the many execution arms that are powered by Data 360 and informed by that consent system.
Awesome. Did you want to add anything, Banu?
Yeah, no, I think maybe one point on top of what Jake already mentioned is, at least personally, me, I'm not like a huge proponent of maintaining like the entire consent inside Salesforce platforms. I think that is kind of what Jake is saying, right? So we need to maintain like one centralized platform, because you will be forced to have all your data in Salesforce. Think of it that way, right? The moment you are thinking of Salesforce being your one place where you will keep all consent, like system of record, you are forced to get all your data into Salesforce. Maybe you do not need to have all your data in Salesforce, right? So that's where that is why organizations maintain like a separate consent platforms, mostly that I had seen, and then you can, like Jake is mentioning, you can just start to sync it. So yeah, I'm just echoing what Jacob is saying, so I don't want to spend too much time, but think of it from this angle that you really want everything to be in Salesforce.
Awesome. Yeah, that's good advice. But yeah, I'm not saying don't say TLDR. It was just a fun little thing that I've seen over the years, because I still throw TLDR out all the time.
I'm only going to say TLDR now for the rest of the meeting. So that's
it. That's the only thing you're allowed to say. You just TLDR. All right. Sorry, enough fun. Back to business. So next question is, can Salesforce Marketing Cloud react to customer behavior in near real time? And does having many products make it harder for business teams to use and adopt? This one, actually, I'm going to jump to you again, Banu.
Yeah, sounds good. So again, I think I'll probably have like a two-part tech and then a non-tech answer. So yeah, so Marketing Cloud Next, I'm assuming that's what you meant by Salesforce Marketing Cloud. So it supports like real time based on customer behavior. So you have like your form triggered flows, you have your flows that based on an event will trigger, right? So you have those options. At the same time, Data Cloud also has like that hot layer. It is expensive, but at the same time, it does support all of that real time communications. And then also, again, I always say this, it all comes down to, are you receiving the data into the platform in real time to be able to orchestrate any kind of real-time experiences to the customers, right? So that ingestion API comes into play in here. So that is my tech answer for this. So you have features that let Marketing Cloud do all that real-time related capabilities. There are some things more coming as well, as I'm seeing from like the release notes. So yeah, we have that support. Having said that, what I would also maybe ask myself would be here is is this supposed to be a real-time experience? Or should it be what exactly is real time for you, right? So is it does it have to be like in a few seconds time frame, or can we actually make it like 6 hours, 8 hours, 10 hours? So not every experience has to be a real time one, unless the use case absolutely supports it. And then having said that, does having many products make it harder? So this is where we have I think, like coming back to like the whole plus SKU concept, right? So the plus SKUs are basically because you know can jump from your existing system, whatever you're doing, to like the new platform, but at the same time do it in like a way where you are progressing, you're extending your current capabilities of whatever you are doing, rather than just doing like a straight jump. So I would say that if you leverage that process of having basically like slowly onboarding use case by use case into like the different products, I think you'll have like a more organized kind of like a transition, rather than like an abrupt one that would basically make it harder. Not sure if anyone wants to add to that, but that's my opinion.
I'm going to take that as full, complete, awesome answer. Move to the next one. This is actually our last question, and then I think we're going to move to the quick tips and tricks from each of our panelists, and then from there we'll move to the voucher selection. Depending how things go, I don't think we're going to really be able to get some live questions in. So yeah, we'll try to get as much in as we can and go from there. So next question is, how do you configure the identity resolution rule to ensure the anonymous web behavior from cookies is merged into the known Salesforce Marketing Cloud contact key without creating a duplicate record in the contact model? Then what is the impact on Journey Builder if that user is currently in a wait activity? Aishwarya, do you want to jump in on this one?
Yep. So actually, this is the work I'm doing on a day-to-day basis with Marketing Cloud engagement. And so yes, I can see this question. Maybe like they are using something on the Web SDK. They are connecting Web SDK to Data Cloud. As I can see, something related to the web activity. They say cookies. Again, I believe they do have cookie ID ingested into Data Cloud, part of ingesting data cookie ID related information, or maybe a device ID. So this would be some that we need to connect in Data Cloud prior ingesting that data into Journey Builder. Okay, so anonymous web behavior with without creating duplicate is just like identity prioritization. First, we need to identify who it is, and then we need to link this to. So again, this is my experience where I'm coming from, and when an anonymous profile is getting created, like cookie ID or device ID, and once the user becomes known, for example through the login or maybe a form submission, or like that identifier will be linked to a contact ID. Again, within Data Cloud with the data mapping, we are going to do this. if at all, if that record is in, and this is based on some deterministic rules. Maybe it can be an email ID, or CRM ID. Again, it depends on the business and the requirement. And like the identity rule will prioritize the known identifier from the unknown identifier based on this primary identification. So this anonymous profile will merge into the existing unified profile, if at all, if it is already existing, or it will create a new profile output of identity resolution. So now coming to the marketing cloud account engagement perspective. In Journey Builder, when you are ingesting the data using contact data, then that is different. But if you are using a journey data, again, no changes. Nothing is going to change if you are bringing in something with the anonymous record. And again, as there is a cookie ID, it depends on how many days of cookie you are going to keep in the system. If it is refreshed, that is also going to create a new record in the system, right? And wait activity, again, you will not see any changes in the wait activity. Previously, what record was ingested, that is step onward. Again, if you are using contact data, then from the next step onwards, you are going to see that unified record being created, processed further in the journey. So this is why maybe your entry source decision is very important, whether you're going with the journey. And also data cloud perspective, identity resolution takes priority before ingesting that data into marketing cloud. My perspective on this question.
Yeah, can I add 30 seconds, Greg, because I see the time. Yep. I think the big thing for me here is if someone asked this to me in a room, because the technical answer just given is fantastic, I would look at you and go, but why? Because you can pull in anonymous data into Data 360. There's a cost. A lot of the times my customers are going, I want to then pull in all that anonymous data from a breadcrumb path of where they landed to then where they actually completed a form or etc. And I go, but what are you going to use it for? Because now you're just storing data in an expensive hot store. If it's not helping you with segmentation, it's not helping you with personalization, you have a lot of tools out in the MarTech ecosystem that will allow you to handle those things outside of Salesforce. So I think always think in the back of your mind as you get these use cases, either from your IT, your business partners, and say, but why? A little bit of Ryan Reynolds moment, if you know that meme. Yeah, I got Greg to laugh. That's my goal this whole meeting. Okay.
I love that GIF. I use that GIF all the time. Yeah, all right. That's all of our questions. We've got about 10 minutes left in this session, so unfortunately we don't have time to get to some live questions. As I said before, if you want to ask them, there's the How to SFMC Slack channel. There's also the TAM or the Agentic Marketer Slack channel as well. Different places like that. Feel free to jump in there and start a conversation, because I can tell you there's a lot of really smart people in all of those places that'll be more than happy to talk with you and answer your questions, and even throw some back at you. So I want to jump to some quick tips and tricks from the pros. So these are just, quick 1 or 2 minutes each, because like I said, we've got limited time from everyone on things they wish someone had told them when they were starting out, or their favorite, XYZ or ABC. So I'm going to start out with Jacob, and then we'll move to Ayashwara, Banu, and Ali.
So I have 2 that's in my brain that I'll try to link together again without going too far in the weeds. So my 2 I wish moments was, I wish someone told me earlier that the most impactful personalization work is also the least glamorous work. And what do I mean by that? It means your actual problems and project success usually starts with, how do we agree on what a customer is, or a patient, or a member? How do we trust the data or profile we're going to use to do that information? And where does it come from? And can we ingest it into Salesforce without doing a ton of manipulation? So my advice, and then I'll go to my second piece here, is as boring as it is, and I'm sure there's a couple of data people on the call who are looking at me going, it's not boring work, Jacob. Invest early in the actual data and foundation of what do you need to actually execute a use case. because that really does unlock the exciting stuff later and allows you to use more features. All right, second one, and then I'll shift over, is most organizations are still structured around email teams, mobile teams, web teams, physical direct mailer teams, etc. But we as customers on this call, because we all are, we don't wake up wanting an email or wake up saying, hey, I really need that email from Anthropic today. Or I really need to know that coupon from Walmart so I can go buy something. No, we need to be able to take a step back and say, don't design around channels, or you end up with disconnected journeys. Design around what the actual customer experience is, and those channels become delivery mechanisms. And so and those are the big areas that I always, if I could go back 10 plus years now, Greg and team, I would look at myself and go, stop focusing only on tech. Take a second to actually think of customer experience.
Awesome. Thank you. Hey, Shara, do you want to jump in with yours?
So again, as there is more questions here coming for legacy platforms, or maybe even though it's existing now, down the road map there is some transit for all the platforms, and we are going to move towards agent force marketing. And I believe for some of them it's already like a nightmare. Like I have some around 15 years of experience on exact target, on Pardot, and how I'm going to move towards the new environment, right? So those are all some common questions or day to. So to answer it really quick, again, don't panic. Technology is always evolving, so we need to be up to the speed. Again, we do have all the resources in hand, but again, time matters. So spend some time and upskill yourself on all the new technology. Again, don't depend on AI for everything. Again, AI is just an aid to speed up that you are currently, and you should drive AI. AI shouldn't drive you, and that is applicable for whatever it is, agent force or AI capabilities within any of the clouds that or outside of Salesforce. Maybe my quick suggestion is, as of now, maybe prepare yourself for data cloud. Data cloud is core for everything, and then maybe later you can upskill yourself on the other knowledge. So this is maybe my side of view, or maybe my tip that I wanted to share with all of you.
Awesome. Thank you. Banu, do you want to jump in real quick?
Yep. I think quickly two things. Maybe I'll link them as well. So one thing is I'm purely speaking from like a connectivity perspective between data cloud and MCE, right? So we generally observe like a lot of like not issues, but rather a lot of like things that we need to know of. So it's even though it's a connector, we would think that it is automatic and straightforward, but there are like a lot of gotchas that I had seen along the way. So I'll quickly share like a couple of them. So one is you need to know clearly like how you define your engagement data streams in data cloud, and then how the event time date works with data cloud, especially on engagement data streams, because there might be you'll still have like a primary key with two records having the same primary key if because event time field acts as a secondary index. So just things like that is very tricky. So we just remember that like test rather that would be the tip here, is test the connectivity between marketing cloud and data cloud, especially with like different data extension ingestions. The second thing is the deletion of records. So it's not as straightforward as we would think in data cloud. So we need to know that data cloud supports deletion based on the source where you're ingesting the data from. So if it's an ingestion API, the deletion happens through ingestion API. If it's coming through like like Azure, for example, the deletion happens through Azure. So you can't do like either or. For marketing cloud, it's even more trickier because it does not support deletion if you are doing an upsert in the data streams. So it might change, but so the things that you need to know before you start to load like millions of rows of data into the platform, think about these things to ensure that you are only getting like the usable data in the platform.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I know we're really short on time, but I'm going to hit Ali. Hopefully he can get some really strong advice very quickly.
I'll be very, very, very quick. I'm going to just, before we go with a different direction here, I'm going to just more focus on the enablement. So for those who want to get their hands dirty and learn more about the product, if you're a partner, there's a pocket guides available that you can leverage, so you can configure Agentforce marketing, and then you can see the entire capabilities of the platform. There is in Partner Learning Camp, you'll also be able to go. There's lots of curriculums that you can go and leverage to get your sort of knowledge up to date. So I'll keep it short, Greg, because I know we're short of time. But yeah, just focus on the collaboration groups that is available for you to learn more about the platform.
Awesome. Thank you so much. All right. Next one is it is voucher time. So with this, I actually created something in the spirit of AI. I used anti-gravity to vibe code this entire site, which is kind of, I don't know if she still uses it, but JB used to use this duck race thing to randomize the selection. So in that vein, I created a cloud race setup where I just drop in the names of the people there to be able to get that across. And you're going to have to give me one quick second while I go to get the names from submitting the question. And back to the race. And hopefully this goes off and actually works correctly, and I don't completely regret this whole thing. Hopefully, I don't know if you can see.
This is amazing.
Hey, and this is the winner from the first one for the questions. So thank you. I should have your information from when you submitted. If you want to send me a direct message, or if you want to post it in the chat, if you don't have access to the DMs, please feel free to. I am now going to move forward with the next one. Sorry, I had to write down the name so that I have it as well. All right, and then here is the first run for those that are attendees. I'm going to remove you so you don't get two off of the same. All right, so here we go. What really impressed me about this, I forgot to take myself and the speakers out. So Gilda, I don't think you need it. So apologies. Let me take those out.
Gilda, you get a voucher that you gave us to give others.
Yeah, let me get those out. Apologies. This is not a perfect process, but we're getting there. All right, that should work this time. But what I really liked about this is it kind of created its own physics engine for building this out, because it's showing where each one is and the effect of them hitting and bouncing off each other and all of that.
Yeah, there's a particle effect there, Greg, that we should have our own session on.
Like seriously, it's fantastic. Like, and it's all HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. So awesome. All right, let me get this name, and then I'm also going to have to remove them from the next one. Okay. And yes, please, send me through DM or chat in the next minute or so that I can know that you're here still and have the way to contact you. If I don't get it, I might have to run another one to see if we can get someone that's here as a winner. So yeah, here's the next one. All right. So we have our third winner. I just need the two previous winners that just went with Sarindi and Niha. If you can pass me your information, then I can finish this off. All right, looks like I have Niha, Sarindi. I'm gonna give you going once, going twice, going three times before I gotta jump to another person.
I think there was safe as well, the first one, Greg.
Okay, I see them. I just need you. Okay, perfect. I see that they're on. I just need them to either send me their information or through DM or in the chat so that I can email them or contact them. So thank you both, Niha and Sarindi. I'm going to close the session, but I'm going to leave the actual thing up so that you can send me those messages. So thank you, everyone. Thank you to Ali, Aishwara, Banu, and Jacob for being on the panel. And thank you, everyone, for taking this journey. And see you next time.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.